It's clear from observations made and reported in the presentation Land and Seascape 2 that scale changes occur across phenomenal field. I refer to this as condensation, as opposed to the compression of a notionally pre-existing picture or state. Here we try to get into more detail by applying the intuitive recording methodology more thoroughly. What we find within contextual field is an incremental increase in condensation leading to a highly condensed region in the extremities of vision, where a huge amount of information is essentially enfolded within tight constraints. Notional space, as we understand it, breaks down. To understand this, we have to once again address the data structure in play across most of phenomenal field, provisioning implicit spatial awareness. Here proximity cues are the order of the day, embedded within a field structure set out from fixation on a radial basis. Spatial cues materializing within the field as incrementally increasing disorder values lead to an approximation of what is there, but supply an all-important implicit understanding of where things are in spatial terms. Increasing or ramping disorder in highly condensed areas would eventually lead to incomprehensible data. No detail information or spatial value would be experienced. Either the associated data structure contributing the spatial value doesn't form through a physical impossibility, or we through our perceptual structure remove or suppress the disorder as some form of tactic. In any event, a measure of the fine-grain approach appreciable in central vision appears to return to a thin zone on the outer extremities of contextual field. Of course, the decrease in receptor population on the retina ensures that while the absence of the noise value makes data clearer, it's still sparse, so can only be appreciable in larger objects or surfaces. As with the subtleties of presentation within phenomenal field, these findings are not easy to appreciate or attend to on an experiential basis. You have to set yourself up to perform all the investigations involved in vision space. This is actually what a good deal of visual art is actually about, the exploration of experiential reality and our relationship with the real. So I'll talk you through the processes that I've adopted. As with the painting of St. Ives, I started with making a limited number of very careful plots. These are made as I remain fixated on the selected fixation point. Whilst fixated, I attend to my contextual field. This may be something that I've learned how to do. I select a prominent object to make things easier. The plots are not measurements as such, they are distillations. I'm not recording points, I'm taking a view of where the likelihood is that the position exists, from a limited range of possibilities. I then apply this same approach to a series of other positions. To a degree, I can triangulate between fixation and a range of other plots appearing in contextual vision, to ensure as best I can that they all relate to one another on an experientially proportional basis. I'm not plotting a picture. This is not picture space. I'm plotting perceptual structure without interest in what is out there. I am engaging with the space that occurs to me within the phenomenon of vision, forming vision space. Once I have enough individual plots, I can start to infill between them, always referring back to the fixation and the key points to maintain experiential proportionality. The result is not a map of the world. I am not representing the real world. I am recording an aspect of the perceptual structure through which experiential reality is realized, the mechanism through which we conduct the relationship. So what I end up with are a series of lines that are themselves distillations from the field. These lines are not conceptualizations belonging to an arbitrary preconceived geometry. They belong to time now and implicit spatial awareness. To accurately, or to use a better word, faithfully, present a data structure akin to the actual experience, I then need to depict the baseline structure from which the distillations of the relationships were themselves derived. Why? Because the distillation of 2D, XY, positional distribution has filtered out the all-important Z component from the where record. I can then start to reapply or load that essential component into the base structure. And yes, it's expressed or contained within a wave function, the result of coherence. Implicit spatial awareness is embedded within a field structure, established from a coherence-based signal that, to my mind, has to be embedded within the light array as a noise function, but which we, the receiver, are intrinsically involved in realizing. We have to supply or generate the perceptual structure to realize anything from the incoming noise. This is of course why it doesn't occur to a camera. It's why all our accurate capture and display devices are actually inadequate, why they don't approach the capabilities inherent within experiential reality. The implicit data and the perceptual structure required to unlock it and formulate it are absent. We're looking at an area of vision where something is in space breaks down and can no longer be rendered. Is this because it's inherently impossible to transmit, or is it that our presentation system has developed a coping strategy? Does one reflect the other? Are the external and internal systems aligned? This is of course not because the real space is not out there. It's because the system through which we realize, including the transferring agent bringing us the data, is not capable of displaying it as it is. The reality of the relationship resides within us. The real is, of course, out there. What this region does achieve is pack a huge amount of abbreviated information pertinent to what is out there into a very small space indeed. If anything goes on in this region, our instinct is to turn and look at it, or to use a more pertinent phrase, to unfold it, in order to become more fully aware of the situation. Since arriving at this appreciation of the system in place at the extremity of phenomenal field, I've tried to become experientially aware of the special effects that occur within the phenomenon. If we experientially track a car moving into the extremities of contextual field, it will appear to shrink. Does it shrink away almost to nothing before it ceases to exist? Or does it spread out around the entire rim? What does actually occur at the event horizon? Does everything that occurs to us appear out of the event horizon as we move our head? What else can populate or be seeded into the event horizon? Associated memories, aspects of what we last looked at? What can we learn how to see? Should we be thinking about stuff like black holes? I'm not suggesting a direct physical linkage between the structures beyond the fact that light's involved, but I am suggesting that by understanding what's actually involved in an act of observation, we will understand how better to approach, observe, and hence understand all things. We are embedded in our universe in complex ways that our technology isn't. If we use light as the measurement unit, are we doing physics? Or have we just not found the way to plot ourselves out of our own heads? Our conceptualizations made about our universe are reliant on records brought to us by our current instrumentation, and the conceptualizations on which they are founded. And so their records are therefore inevitably limited by those assumptions. We detect, calculate, and model from the limited data that our technology was designed to present to us. The models we construct from the data do not constitute a comprehensive reflection of the physically real, but are in some respects reflections of the suspect approach we adopt as we view it. A third-party observer position actually impacts on the results. It's just that we don't appreciate the situation as we have excluded ourselves, shut ourselves, the custodians of the required insight, out from the process. A third-party view doesn't actually present a clean view, however accurate the instrumentation. It doctors and filters it. The projected view is limited by the understanding deployed in the construction of the technology. We need to study our perceptual structure in order to understand how to go about being objective. We need to reverse engineer the process. We need to understand what the records from our instrumentation mean, as opposed to just what they contain.